What's happening, guys, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Invincible is crushing it right now on Amazon Prime with its season 1 finale airing later on this week. We're all so hyped. Every episode has been so exciting, so gory. I'm just loving it. So now we got to take a look into one of the biggest players in the show. We're looking at Omni Man for this video. Today we're looking at the top 10 Omni Man facts you need to know. Spoilers coming in hot for season 1 as well of Invincible. Kind of hard to talk about this guy without bringing up some of those, well, you'll see. I'm Taylor McWatters. Let's count them down. Kicking off the list at number 10. Comic book origins. Okay, Nolan Grayson is clearly not a regular person at all. He's introduced to us in the show as this Superman-like character voiced by J.K. Simmons, who does an amazing job. He made his first comic book appearance, of course, in Invincible issue 1 from Image Comics back in 2003 from the mind of Robert Kirkman. He comes from the planet Viltrum, and he's part of a race called the Viltrumites, who are these super-powered beings. All the dudes there are super jacked, and they have mustaches. Pretty awesome. I wouldn't fit in either department, actually. Now, this planet was quite brutal, but I'll get into that a little bit later on. Before we continue on with this list, guys, if you want to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, that would be awesome. It's really helpful for a channel. You're the best. Thank you so much for watching. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right back into this list. Number 9, the best father ever. Okay, when Nolan first arrived to Earth, he met Cecil Stedman. We're gonna start right at Earth, then we'll make our way back and explain some more as we go. He met Cecil Stedman. He taught him Earth cultures and all that jazz. So he adapted the name Grayson and tried to seem more of a human being. And then he eventually saved a woman named Debbie, fell in love, got married, the classic superhero beginnings. All he needs now is a 9 to 5 and a pair of glasses, and he's well on his way. So he eventually took on the name Omni Man thanks to Cecil's help, and a superhero costume designer, Art Rosenbaum, came in to complete the picture. And he started to save the day while doubling as a super husband. Eventually, Debbie and Nolan gave birth to a child, this child being Mark. So while he was fighting crime, going toe-to-toe with supervillains, Nolan eventually would meet up with his superhero team, the Guardians of the Globe. Now, he didn't join them per se, but he worked alongside them on various missions. He told everybody a backstory about how he arrived to Earth, including Debbie, but there were some lies sprinkled in. But who are these Guardians of the Globe? Let's talk about them. Number 8, Guardians of the Globe. If you're new to Invincible comics, maybe you've never read them before, but you know that it's on Amazon Prime, and maybe you wanted to try it out, see how it is, see what the buzz is all about, you were probably pretty shocked how that first episode ended. Even if you knew about it, it happens quite earlier in the show, earlier than it does in the comics, that's for sure. So creator Robert Kirkman himself explained what happened by saying this. Having it move up, we do get an extra sense of like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Debbie has no clue what's going on with her husband, and how is she going to find out, / if she finds out. Yeah, Omni Man straight up destroys the Guardians of the Globe. He calls them all to meet up, and then once they're there, he just picks them off one by one. It's absolutely disgusting. It's so gory, it's awesome, but it's so gory, it's so evil. And the group members resemble the Justice League a bit, and actually they're all voiced by Walking Dead alumni, which is quite fun. So we have War Woman, we have Green Ghost, Martian Man, Red Rush, Darkwing, Immortal, and Aquarius. They're all introduced to us in a cool fashion and then gone, just like that. Wild. But now we gotta go back and talk about Mark. We gotta go talk about his son a bit. Number 7, Mark. So we pick up in the show Invincible with, of course, Invincible, voiced by Steven Yeun. Now he's just a normal high school student at this point, 17 years old, he gets bullied a tad, he's nervous to talk to girls, the whole thing. But with his father being Omni Man, he too has the blood of the Viltrumite race flowing through him, which means superpowers. As soon as he discovered his father was Omni Man, he was 7 years old, and he dreamt of being a superhero just like him. Maybe not too much like him, let's hope. So one day, Mark found out that he was eventually gonna get these superpowers, so he would wait every day. And finally, when he was taking out the trash, he accidentally tossed the second bag a bit too hard, and it turned into space debris quickly. So here we go, time for powers, let's go. This is a good thing. Number 6, tough love. Now, when you become a superhero, just like your father, that sounds like a great time, on paper. I mean, they're playing super catch, they're bonding, it's awesome. But what makes us get a sense of, oh, is when Norman really starts to hurt Mark. While Mark's going through training and getting used to his powers, what he can and can't do, Norman starts punching him really hard. At one point, he punches the wind out of him. And Mark's shocked at first. He's like, why did you just do that? Like, that really hurt. He treats him almost like he's not his son for a minute, but then he kind of snaps back into it. He does this in order to protect him. He says nobody out there is ever gonna pull their punches, so you gotta get used to that now, right from the beginning. Now, this upsets Mark at first, because it's all new and shocking to him, but when that bully comes back around later on in school, Mark demands him to punch him numerous times as hard as he can. He wants to know what he can take, what he's really capable of. So he does, and it does nothing. So now he's slowly becoming invincible. This is a big stepping stone. So the training is helping. That's awesome. It's getting him used to the super life. But is this still the best way to get trained by your father in this dark, brutal way? I mean, Mark has no idea it's about to get so much worse. Number 5, true homeworld. In issue 11 of Invincible, Nolan explains more of his backstory, but this time he doesn't hold back on the past. He explains the truth to his son. Yes, he is from Viltrum, but it's not exactly how you think. See, when they decided that in order to obtain intergalactic dominance, they have to eliminate the weakest links. And I'm not talking about a couple of people, I'm talking about half the population, Thanos style. It was a mess. All that was left were the strongest warriors, so they figured, okay, step 2, let's just go conquer other planets as well. So they needed to find planets that were far along where it's actually worth it to conquer them and add them to the Empire, but not too strong where they could overcome their defenses, right in that little sweet spot, little evil sweet spot. And then Omni Man and Smethers would go down to the planet and be like, hey, if you're cool with it, we're just gonna take your planet real quick and you can have our tech. Deal? Awesome. And some planets would agree, some planets would let them run it, but the planets that didn't agree and didn't allow this, well, they didn't really have a choice. Number 4, less than 50. Omni Man's true arrival to Earth was also different than he first made it seem. A virus was wiping out the Viltrumite population, and they were down to less than 50, and Nolan was among them. But the Empire now had a different strategy. They couldn't keep taking over planets, numbers were too low, so instead, the Empire decided to use their long lifespan and infiltrate those societies first and weaken the chance of the resistance. Like maybe suiting up and pretending to be a hero named Omni Man. Perhaps, maybe something like that. So Nolan was one of the first chosen for this task, to keep an eye on Earth, make sure they cannot resist, and it was up to Nolan to do whatever he wants for the 500 years while he was going to be there. Now after 500 years, all that knowledge collected would be used to eventually take over the planet under Viltrum's ruling. But that kind of changed for a bit once Nolan met his future wife. Number 3, he has a human connection. So as soon as Nolan arrived in the 80s, he saved that woman's life, Debbie, that I mentioned earlier. Now the same woman he would fall in love with and have Mark with. It was love at first sight. So now his motives were starting to change at this point. Kind of. He knew he at least wanted to enjoy his time and live as a human, so he lied about his mission with the Viltrumite Empire, and instead he told Debbie and later on Mark that he was sent to advance human technology and protect the Earth from other dangerous aliens. So he lied, started out being a boring old human being, and while some concepts were new and exciting, he started to suit up and fight alongside Earth's other mightiest heroes, but he was well beyond them, of course, being Omni Man. So it didn't take long for him to start enjoying these things, and eventually he ran into the superhero team, well, you know that team, the one I mentioned earlier, the Guardians of the Globe. But we know how that turned out. Number 2, father and son time. So all this backstory, all these lies, the brutal backstabbing Nolan did to the Guardians of the Globe, now what? Well, when Nolan saved a carnival from a monster, he had the misfortune of running into one of these Guardians of the Globe. Turns out one of them's still alive. The Immortal is, well, yeah, he's immortal. He comes back demanding answers for that mess that he made with the team earlier. Omni Man is even impressed. He says he has no idea how he survived, but he should have stayed dead. So when Mark sees this on TV, he shows up to offer his dad help, shocked as well at what's going on. He has no idea what to even think of this. So Omni Man believes that his mother is little more than a pet, because of the difference in the lifespan. How brutal is that? You show up to help your dad and offer some backup, and then you get this bomb dropped on you. So now Nolan has fully flipped. He's trying to convince Mark to look at the bigger picture here. Well, he doesn't really give him a choice. And finally, number 1, he's the worst father ever. So as if it couldn't possibly get any worse, Mark tells his dad to beat it, get out of here, his plan sucks, and there's no way that can possibly happen. He doesn't even believe it. He doesn't care if he lives 1,000,000 years. This is his home, and he's not letting Nolan, his father, destroy it. And the following issue is just an ultimate beatdown from father to son. This is like the training montage, but times 1,000. It's just brutal. And while he's beating up his own son, he's doing a villain monologue. He's like, look at this mess. One punch from us, and 1,000 of these weak human beings lose their lives. So right after he gets tossed through a building, Nolan tells Mark his mother never meant anything to him. Brutal. And then bam, they crash through the subway, more insults coming in hot. He doesn't give a damn about anybody on this planet. They mean nothing to him. Bam, just a mighty beatdown / roast. And finally they take it to the sky, and Nolan straight up leaves. He leaves Earth. He said he'd rather see the planet burn than spend another minute living amongst us. He even tells Mark whatever, he can produce more offspring, no big deal, bye, peace out. Now before he leaves, he does pull one punch back right after Mark calls him dad one last time. All heartbreaking stuff, and it's all coming together in the first season of Invincible. I'm loving it. I can't wait for the finale. Guys, let us know in the comments if you're excited for the finale. What are you loving about the show so far? What are you not loving? What are the differences between the comics that you liked more? Let us know all your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning in to Top 10 Nerd. I've been your host, Taylor McWatters, and we'll see you next time. Peace.